The Grand Chamber of the Galactic Council fell silent as Ambassador Marcus Vega approached the central podium. 500 alien representatives from across the Milky Way watched his every move. The council chamber was a massive, spherical structure, suspended in the void between stars, its transparent walls revealing the glittering expanse of space beyond. At the center, a circular platform hovered, surrounded by tiered seating that climbed the walls in a spiral pattern. Marcus kept his breathing steady, though his heart hammered against his ribs. Earth's fate, humanity's future, rested on what happened in the next few minutes. The 7 High Counselors, representatives of the oldest and most powerful civilizations in known space, stared down at him from their elevated platform. Their expressions ranged from contempt to curiosity, but none showed sympathy. Humanity stands before the Galactic Council for the 47th time, announced High Counselor Drevax, a tall, spindly being with iridescent skin that rippled with colors that betrayed emotion. Today, that skin pulsed with angry red. The terms we presented were non-negotiable. Your species was given 1 standard rotation to accept our conditions for membership. That time has expired. Marcus straightened his shoulders. Behind him stood his small team, Admiral Elena Wolf, her military uniform crisp and adorned with the combined insignia of Earth's United Defense Force, Dr. Nolan Reeves, Earth's foremost xenoanthropologist, and Lieutenant Imani Okoro, their security chief and tactical advisor. High Counselors, esteemed representatives, Marcus began, his voice carrying through the chamber with practiced precision. Humanity appreciates the Council's patience during our deliberations. However, we cannot accept the terms as presented. A ripple of murmurs cascaded through the chamber. High Counselor Vrax, a massive being with crystalline features that caught the light in dazzling patterns, leaned forward. You refuse our generosity? Vrax's voice reverberated like breaking glass. For a species that barely mastered faster-than-light travel 2 decades ago, this is unprecedented arrogance. Admiral Wolf stepped forward, her posture rigid. With respect, Counselor, what you call generosity, we call subjugation. The proposed membership would strip Earth of its sovereignty, place our military under Council control, and restrict our resource development to Council-approved quotas. All standard requirements for emerging species, countered Counselor Thul, a being composed of what appeared to be liquid mercury contained in a transparent exoskeleton. Your kind is too volatile, too unpredictable to be granted full autonomy. Dr. Reeves cleared his throat. May I remind the Council that in the 20 years since first contact, humanity has shared significant technological and cultural contributions? Our innovations in quantum neural interfaces alone have advanced medical technologies across 3 sectors. Innovations built upon foundations provided by Council civilizations, Drevax dismissed with a wave of a 7-fingered hand. Marcus watched as the High Counselors exchanged glances. This was going exactly as their intelligence had predicted. The Council had never intended to negotiate in good faith. For 2 decades they had delayed, restricted, and controlled humanity's expansion into the stars, all while harvesting Earth's unique biodiversity and cultural output. Let us be direct, said the 4th Counselor Katal, a being shrouded in perpetual mist that obscured their true form. Your refusal leaves only one alternative. Earth will be placed under quarantine. No ships in or out. Your colonies will be administered directly by Council appointees. This is for the greater stability of the galactic community. The chamber erupted in approving sounds from dozens of species. Marcus looked back at his team. Elena's jaw was clenched tight. Imani's hand had drifted closer to her sidearm, though it would be useless here. Nolan's eyes were darting around the chamber, cataloging reactions. Marcus turned back to face the Council. Before you vote on this quarantine measure, there is something you should know. His voice cut through the noise, commanding attention. Humanity did not come here expecting a fair hearing. We came to deliver our own message. He activated a small device in his palm. A holographic display materialized above the central podium, showing a star map of Council space. Throughout the map, Thousands of small blue dots pulsed in synchronization. "What is the meaning of this?" demanded Drevax. "For 20 years," Marcus continued calmly, "you've underestimated us. You've studied our history and concluded we're dangerous because of our conflicts. What you failed to understand is that those conflicts taught us to prepare for the worst while hoping for the best." Admiral Wolf stepped forward. "Each blue dot represents a human-designed quantum sentinel. Small, undetectable by your scanning methods, and already positioned throughout Council space. We call them Guardians." "This is an outrage." Vrax stood, crystalline body glinting menacingly. "This is an act of war." "No," Marcus corrected. "This is deterrence. Every Guardian carries a quantum-linked payload capable of disrupting planetary shields, communication networks, or defensive systems. None are weapons of mass destruction. We're not monsters. But they ensure that any aggressive action against Earth or human interests would result in significant complications." The chamber exploded in chaos. Species shouted in dozens of languages, some calling for immediate military response, others demanding verification. Lieutenant Okoro activated a secondary display, showing real-time footage of Guardian units deploying countermeasures around 3 Council military installations. Shield systems flickered momentarily. Communications experienced brief interruptions and targeting arrays reset. "A demonstration only," she explained calmly. "No permanent damage. Full functionality will return in 30 seconds. As predicted, the panic intensified. Marcus raised his voice above the din. "We don't want conflict. We want fair treatment. We want true negotiation. And we want recognition of our sovereignty." Dr. Reeves stepped forward. "We've also taken the liberty of transmitting evidence of Council violations of its own charter regarding treatment of emerging species. 17 specific cases where humanity was deliberately hobbled, restricted, or exploited. This data is now available to every civilization in Council space." High Counselor Kital's mist swirled violently. "You cannot possibly expect to threaten the combined might of 500 civilizations and survive." "We don't expect to fight," Marcus replied. "We expect to finally negotiate as equals." Admiral Wolf added, "Any military action against Earth triggers the Guardians, and our home system is now protected by defenses even your best intelligence hasn't discovered. We call it the Aegis Protocol." The chamber grew quieter as the implications sank in. Humanity had been dismissed as primitive, impulsive, and naive, yet somehow they had managed to infiltrate the most secure systems in the galaxy without detection. "How?" asked Thule, Mercury form rippling in agitation. "How did you accomplish this without detection?" Marcus smiled. "You were looking for weapons and warships, for obvious threats, but humanity's greatest strength has always been our adaptability and ingenuity. While your observers monitored our military, our scientists, engineers, and explorers were laying the groundwork for today." High Counselor Drevax's skin had shifted from angry red to a pale blue of uncertainty. "The Council will recess to discuss this development." "We'll await your response," Marcus said with a respectful nod. "But remember, we came here for peace. Real peace. Not submission disguised as protection. The choice of what happens next belongs to the Council, but the consequences will be shared by us all." The emergency session of the Galactic Council stretched into its 3rd day. Ambassador James Turner stood before the massive circular chamber, surrounded by hundreds of alien representatives whose species spanned the breadth of the Milky Way. The transparent dome above revealed the swirling nebula that housed the Council's headquarters, a neutral space claimed by no single civilization. James fought to keep his expression neutral as High Counselor Zorath, an imposing being with crystalline appendages that caught the light in hypnotic patterns, addressed the assembly. The tension in the chamber was thick enough to cut with a knife. "The human alliance has violated the most sacred tenets of galactic law." Zorath's voice resonated through the chamber, amplified by the perfect acoustics. "They have weaponized dimensional technology expressly forbidden by the Accords of Antares. The evidence is irrefutable." Behind James, Commander Diane Hayes, Earth's military representative, stiffened. They both knew the accusation was a fabrication, a pretext for the Council's planned intervention in human space. "We request the right to present our evidence in defense," James said, his calm voice belying the gravity of the moment. Earth's future hung in the balance. If the Council voted for intervention, humanity would face overwhelming force. High Counselor Vex, a being composed of swirling gases contained in a hovering exoskeleton, moved forward. "The evidence has been reviewed by the Council's Security Committee. Further presentation would be redundant." James exchanged glances with Diane. This wasn't a trial, it was a performance with a predetermined outcome. "With respect, Counselor," James replied. "Galactic law guarantees accused parties the right to face their accusers and examine all evidence presented against them." Murmurs rippled through the assembled representatives. James had deliberately invoked one of the Council's foundational principles, one they couldn't openly disregard, without undermining their own legitimacy. Zorath's crystalline appendages clicked in annoyance. "Very well. You may present your case at tomorrow's session. But be warned, if your evidence is found wanting, the consequences for Earth will be severe." As the Council recessed, James and his team retreated to their assigned quarters, a suite designed to accommodate multiple species, with gravity and atmospheric conditions that shifted to match the occupants' biological needs. "They're rushing this," Diane said once they were alone. "Standard procedure for accusations this serious is a minimum 2-week investigation period." Dr. Leo Patel, their chief science advisor, nodded grimly. "Because they know their evidence won't hold up to scrutiny." "But why now? Why force a confrontation when we've been carefully complying with all Council regulations?" James moved to the window that overlooked the sprawling diplomatic complex. "The Taraxian mineral discovery. Has to be." The others fell silent. 3 months ago, Earth's deep space survey teams had discovered deposits of Taraxium, a rare element crucial for advanced FTL drives, in an uninhabited system just beyond humanity's colonial frontier. The discovery would transform humanity's position in the galactic economy overnight. "The Mercantile Consortium doesn't want competition," Diane concluded. "They've monopolized Taraxium production for centuries, and half the Council's ruling members have significant investments in consortium operations," James added. "This was never about weapons. It's about keeping humanity dependent and controlled." Leo's datapad chimed. His eyes widened as he read the incoming message. "James, they're moving forces into position at the Arcturus relay." "Military vessels from 6 Council species," Diane swore under her breath. "They're not waiting for the verdict. They're preparing for immediate enforcement." James closed his eyes briefly, centering himself. "Then we activate the contingency." His team stared at him in shock. "Are you certain?" Leo asked quietly. "Once deployed, there's no going back." "We're out of options," James replied. "The Council has already decided our fate. Tomorrow's session is just theater." "The other colonial species will see this as escalation," Diane warned. "Or as inspiration," James countered. "The Rigelians, the Taucedians, the Procyon Collective, they've all suffered under Council restrictions. They've just been waiting for someone to stand up first." With grim determination, James activated his secure communicator. "This is Ambassador Turner. Authorization code Delta 7 Echo 9. Initiate Operation Lighthouse. Immediate effect." Throughout human space, hidden installations that had been built in secret over the past decade hummed to life. On Earth, in the secure bunker beneath the Himalayan mountains, Director Maya Indira received the authorization and activated the heart of humanity's last resort defense. The next morning, James walked into the Council chamber with renewed confidence. The massive chamber was even more crowded than the previous day, word having spread of the dramatic confrontation brewing. "The Human Alliance will now present its defense," High Counselor Zorath announced, clearly expecting a lengthy and futile legal argument. Instead, James simply raised his hand. A holographic display materialized above the chamber floor, showing a map of the galaxy with thousands of pulsing blue points scattered throughout Council space. "What is this?" demanded Vex, gaseous form swirling with agitation. "This, Counselors, is humanity's insurance policy," James replied calmly. "Each blue marker represents a quantum relay node placed by human operatives over the past decade. Together they form the Lighthouse Network." Zorath rose to his full height, crystalline appendages flaring in alarm. This is an admission of espionage against the Council. You have condemned your own species. Not espionage, James corrected. Self-preservation. Each node contains a quantum-entangled communications array capable of instantaneous data transmission regardless of distance. Technology the Council claimed was theoretical and centuries beyond our capability. Gasps and murmurs spread through the chamber as the implications became clear. For generations, the Council has controlled interstellar communications through the relay system. James continued. Every message, every data packet between worlds must pass through Council-controlled nodes, subject to their oversight and delays. The Lighthouse network bypasses that system entirely. This is outrageous. Vex's containment field vibrated with anger. You violated countless regulations. Regulations designed to keep emerging species dependent on Council infrastructure. James replied evenly. As of 1 hour ago, we've activated the network and shared access protocols with every colonial species in the galaxy. The chamber erupted in chaos. Many representatives leapt to their feet, shouting in dozens of languages. Others sat in stunned silence. James raised his voice above the din. The Lighthouse network isn't a weapon. It's freedom. The freedom for species to communicate without oversight or control. The freedom to trade directly without Council transaction fees. The freedom to share knowledge without censorship. High Counselor Zorath's crystalline body emitted a high-pitched resonance of pure rage. You cannot possibly believe you'll survive this provocation. The Council fleet will do nothing, James interrupted. Because along with communications access, we've shared evidence of the Council's systematic suppression of technological development among colonial species. Records of deliberate market manipulation. Documentation of the hidden taxes extracted from every world in Council space. On cue, Diane activated a secondary display showing critical Council infrastructure throughout the galaxy. Additionally, each Lighthouse node can, if necessary, generate a localized quantum disruption field. Not powerful enough to threaten lives, but certainly capable of temporarily disabling nearby technology. The implication was clear. Any military action against humanity would result in widespread disruption across Council space. For a long moment, the chamber was utterly silent. Then from the lower tiers, a representative of the Rigelian Federation stood. The Rigelian Federation requests immediate access to the Lighthouse protocols, they announced formally, as does the Procyon Collective, called another representative. One by one, representatives from 20 colonial species, all long subject to Council restrictions, rose to align themselves with humanity's initiative. James looked up at the High Counselors, their expressions ranging from fury to calculation. We didn't come here seeking conflict. We came offering a choice. Continue the old system of control and face a united opposition, or embrace a new era of genuine cooperation between equals. High Counselor Zorath's crystalline form seemed to dim slightly as the weight of the situation became clear. For the first time in 10,000 years, the Council's absolute authority was being successfully challenged. This Council will recess to consider these developments, Zorath announced, voice lacking its usual resonant confidence. As the chamber began to empty, representatives from the aligned colonial species approached James. Expressions of cautious hope and newfound respect on their alien faces. The peace negotiations had collapsed indeed, but from their ruins, a new coalition was emerging with humanity at its center, and the stars would never be the same. The vast council chamber seemed to shrink around Ambassador Thomas Reed as he stood at the central podium. The circular room stretched upward for hundreds of meters, its transparent dome revealing the glittering stars beyond. Tier upon tier of seats rose from the floor, occupied by representatives from over 700 alien civilizations. Their eyes and other sensory organs all focused on the lone human. Thomas fought to keep his breathing steady. The fate of Earth hung on what happened in the next few minutes. Behind him stood his small delegation, Admiral Victoria Lynn, her weathered face betraying no emotion, Dr. Ezra Moore, Earth's foremost xenobiologist, and Security Chief Jackson, hand resting near his ceremonial sidearm. High Elder Moxdar, a massive being with iridescent scales and 6 limbs that ended in delicate manipulators, leaned forward from the central dais. When he spoke, his voice rumbled through the chamber like distant thunder. The terms of Earth's probationary status have been presented. The Council requires your answer, Ambassador Reed. Will humanity accept its place in the galactic order? Thomas straightened his shoulders. This moment had been planned for years, though few on Earth knew it. High Elder, respected Council members, humanity has carefully considered your generous offer of probationary membership. He paused, feeling the weight of thousands of alien gazes upon him. We must respectfully decline. The chamber erupted. Hundreds of voices shouting in countless languages. Translator implants struggled to keep up with the cacophony of outrage and surprise. High Elder Mockstar's scales shifted from their usual blue to an angry crimson. Silence. The Elder's voice cut through the noise like a blade. The chamber quieted immediately. Ambassador Reed, perhaps you misunderstand the gravity of your situation. This is not a negotiation. The alternative to acceptance is isolation. Earth will be quarantined. No ships in or out. No communication with the greater galactic community. Thomas nodded calmly. We understand perfectly, Elder. Humanity has always faced choices between subjugation and isolation. We've made our decision. High Counselor Tseet, a being composed of what appeared to be luminous gas contained within a transparent exoskeleton, drifted forward. This is unprecedented arrogance from a species that achieved faster than light travel less than 30 years ago. The terms offered were more generous than those extended to most emerging civilizations. Were they? Thomas asked. The right to maintain our own military, but under Council command. The right to colonize new worlds, but only with Council approval. The right to develop our own technology, but only within Council guidelines. These are not the rights of equals, but the limited freedoms of subjects. Admiral Lin stepped forward. For 3 decades, humanity has complied with every Council directive, contributed to every scientific initiative requested of us, and participated in good faith with the integration process. And for 3 decades we have watched as the Council has systematically harvested Earth's resources, restricted our development, and treated humans as second-class citizens in our own solar system. Murmurs rippled through the chamber. Some representatives nodded in agreement, mostly those from younger species who had faced similar treatment. Others expressed outrage at the humans' audacity. High Elder Mockstar's scales darkened further. You have been protected by Council fleets, guided by Council wisdom, uplifted by Council technology. This is the natural order for emerging species. Natural for whom? Thomas asked quietly. The Council represents over 700 species, yet only 12 hold permanent seats. The rest must petition for the right to be heard, to trade freely, to explore beyond their assigned sectors. Dr. Moore stepped forward. Our studies of Council records show that no new species has been granted full membership status in over 2,000 years, despite dozens qualifying under the Charter's original criteria. You dare question the Council's governance? Demanded High Counselor Vreen, a crystalline entity whose faceted body reflected the chamber's light in dazzling patterns. We question a system that claims to represent universal cooperation while practicing systematic domination, Thomas replied. And we are not alone in these concerns. He activated a small device in his palm. A holographic display materialized above the central podium. It showed a coalition emblem, Earth's distinctive blue and green sphere at the center, surrounded by the symbols of 17 other species. What is this? Mockstar demanded, rising to his full 3-meter height. The Independent Worlds Alliance, Thomas announced, a mutual defense and trade pact between Earth and 17 other probationary species who have chosen freedom over subjugation. The chamber exploded in chaos again. Several High Counselors conferred urgently, while representatives from the named alliance members stood in silent solidarity. This is secession. Counselor Tseet's gaseous form swirled in agitation. This is a direct violation of the charter that binds galactic civilization. A charter written by the founding species for the founding species, Thomas countered. One that has been amended 342 times over the millennia, each amendment further centralizing power in the inner council. High Elder Mox. Tar slammed a massive limb down on the podium before him. This alliance cannot stand. The combined might of council forces will what? Thomas interrupted, his voice remaining calm. Start a war with 18 united species who control 37% of the galaxy's rare resource production, who have already established independent trade routes and mutual defense grids. Admiral Lin activated her own display. showing a strategic map of council space with key systems highlighted. For the past 5 years, while humanity played the part of the compliant newcomer, we've been building. Not weapons, we're not conquerors, but infrastructure for a new kind of interstellar community, one based on equal standing and mutual benefit. Dr. Moore added, "We've developed faster quantum communication systems that bypass the Council's controlled relay network, established direct trade agreements with frontier worlds eager to escape Council taxation, created educational and cultural exchange programs free from Council censorship." Thomas looked up at the High Council, meeting each alien gaze in turn. "We didn't come here to declare war. We came to declare independence and to invite the Council to engage with us as equals, not subjects." High Councilor Vreen's crystalline form dimmed noticeably. "You cannot possibly believe you can survive outside Council protection. There are threats in the darkness between stars that your young species cannot comprehend." "Perhaps," Thomas acknowledged, "but we would rather face those threats as free beings than live forever as obedient children who never grow into their potential." From the mid-levels of the chamber, the representative from Proxima Colony, one of humanity's oldest allies, stood. "The Alliance does not seek to replace the Council or dismantle galactic civilization. We seek to reform it, to return it to its original purpose, facilitating cooperation between diverse species, not controlling them." Others rose in support, not just Alliance members, but representatives from dozens of worlds that had long chafed under Council restrictions. High Elder Mockstar's scales slowly shifted from angry crimson to a more contemplative purple. The chamber grew quiet as he considered his response. "In 12,000 years of Council history," he finally said, "no species has dared what humanity has done today. You have built a coalition in secret, established independent infrastructure against explicit directives, violated the most fundamental principles of galactic integration." Thomas remained silent, waiting. "And yet," Mockstar continued, "you have done so without bloodshed, without direct confrontation. You have created alternatives rather than destroying what exists." His massive head tilted slightly. "Perhaps there is wisdom in this approach that the Council has forgotten." Councilor Tseet's gaseous form pulsed with disbelief. "You cannot be considering legitimizing this rebellion." "Not rebellion," Mockstar corrected. "Evolution. The galaxy changes. Perhaps the Council must change with it or risk becoming truly irrelevant." He turned his attention back to Thomas. "The Council will recess to consider this unprecedented development. But know this, Ambassador Reed. While I cannot speak for my colleagues, I recognize that today marks a turning point in galactic history. What emerges from it depends on the wisdom shown by both sides in the days to come." As the session ended and delegates began to disperse, Thomas exchanged glances with his team. They had prepared for outright rejection, for threats of military action, even for immediate arrest. They had not anticipated openness to change from the highest levels of the Council itself. The peace negotiations had indeed collapsed, but from their ruins, something new and unexpected was beginning to emerge. Humanity had shaken the stars not through force of arms, but through the power of a simple, revolutionary idea: that cooperation between equals was stronger than domination by the few. As representatives from Alliance worlds gathered around the human delegation, offering congratulations and support, Thomas allowed himself a small smile. The real work, building a new future for humanity and their allies, was just beginning. The Grand Council Hall of the Galactic Federation stretched before Ambassador Anna Wright, like a vast ocean of alien faces. Thousands of representatives from across the Milky Way sat in concentric rings that rose toward the transparent dome ceiling, through which the stars themselves seemed to watch the proceedings. At the center of this massive amphitheater, Anna stood alone on a floating platform, a single human facing the most powerful governing body in known space. The 7 Supreme Councilors, ancient beings who represented the founding species of the Federation, observed her from their elevated dais. Their forms varied dramatically, crystalline structures, swirling energies, massive tentacled bodies, but their attention was uniformly focused on the human ambassador, Supreme Councilor Vrax, a being composed of interlocking metallic plates that shifted and reconfigured as he spoke. Leaned forward. His voice resonated through the chamber, automatically translated for all present. "Ambassador Wright, The Galactic Federation has exercised remarkable patience with Earth. For the past 15 years, humanity has repeatedly violated technology restrictions, expanded beyond your assigned colonial boundaries, and interfered in matters beyond your security clearance. Today we require your answer. Will Earth comply with the Federation's final terms or face consequences? Anna took a deep breath. Behind her in the observation gallery sat her team. General David Santos, his military uniform crisp and decorated with the insignia of Earth's United Defense Force. Dr. Layla Nazari, Earth's foremost xenotechnology expert, and Security Chief Miguel Ortega, whose hand rested near his ceremonial weapon. Supreme Counselors, honored representatives, Anna began, her voice steady despite the weight of the moment. For 15 years, humanity has sought genuine partnership with the Federation. We have contributed scientific discoveries, cultural exchanges, and military assistance in conflicts that were not our own. She paused, looking around the chamber. Some representatives nodded in agreement. Others remained impassive, their alien features impossible to read. The terms you've presented today would reduce Earth to a protectorate state. Our military would answer to Federation command. Our research would require Federation approval. Our resources would be allocated by Federation councils on which we have no representation. Supreme Counselor Thale, a being of pure energy contained within a hovering field, flared brightly. These are standard protocols for species that have achieved interstellar travel within the last century. The Federation has governed the galaxy for 50,000 years. Your civilization is barely out of its infancy. Anna nodded respectfully. Perhaps that is why we see things differently. You view Earth as a child to be guided. We view ourselves as equals with a different perspective to contribute. Murmurs rippled through the chamber, some approving, many outraged at the implied disrespect. You are not equals, stated Supreme Counselor Zeth, a massive being with tentacles that constantly shifted color and pattern. Your technology is derived from Federation science. Your colonies exist within Federation-secured space. Your very survival depends on our protection from threats you cannot comprehend. Does it? Anna asked quietly. Or is that the narrative that justifies continued control of emerging species? The chamber fell silent. She had questioned one of the fundamental principles of Federation governance, that younger species required protection and guidance from the ancient founding civilizations. Supreme Counselor, Vrax's metallic plates shifted in a pattern that conveyed displeasure. You test our patience, Ambassador. The Federation's generosity has limits, as does Earth's willingness to accept subordination disguised as protection, Anna replied. She activated a small device in her hand. The central holographic display above the chamber activated, showing a map of known space. Throughout Federation territory, thousands of small green points pulsed with light. What is this? Demanded Vrax, metallic plates clicking rapidly in alarm. Insurance, Anna answered calmly. For the past decade, while complying with Federation restrictions, humanity has also been preparing for the possibility that true partnership was never the Federation's intention. General Santos stepped forward from the observation gallery, addressing the Council directly. Each green marker represents a quantum displacement device, developed in secret by Earth scientists and positioned throughout Federation space by our operatives. Gasps and exclamations erupted throughout the chamber. Security forces moved closer to the human delegation, but Anna raised a hand to continue. The quantum displacement network is not a weapon, she clarified. It creates localized bubbles where faster-than-light travel becomes temporarily impossible. No destruction, no loss of life, just the inability to move between star systems for approximately 72 hours. Impossible, declared Thala, energy form pulsating rapidly. Such technology is beyond your civilization's capability. Dr. Nazari joined Anna on the platform. That's what you were meant to believe. The Federation has systematically underestimated humanity's adaptive capabilities. While your observers monitored our official research initiatives, other teams worked on technologies we knew would be restricted. This is an outrage. Vrax's voice boomed through the chamber. A direct threat against the Federation. Not a threat, Anna corrected. A demonstration that the narrative of Federation superiority and human dependence is fundamentally flawed. We don't want conflict. We want recognition as equals and the autonomy to determine our own future. The chamber erupted in chaos. Hundreds of representatives shouted in dozens of languages. some calling for immediate military action against Earth, others urging caution and reassessment. Security Chief Ortega activated a secondary display showing 3 Federation military installations. At each location, local faster-than-light capabilities suddenly went offline as the quantum displacement devices activated. A limited demonstration, he explained calmly. Full functionality will return in 1 hour. No permanent damage has been done. Supreme Counselor Zeth's tentacles had paled to a ghostly white. You cannot possibly expect to challenge the combined might of the Federation and survive. We expect to change the Federation, Anna replied. Or at least its relationship with Earth and other emerging species who have too long been treated as subordinates, rather than partners. From the mid-level of the chamber, the representative from Proxima Centauri, humanity's closest stellar neighbor and oldest ally, stood. The Proxima Collective stands with Earth in this matter. We too have deployed quantum displacement devices throughout our sector. Another representative rose, this one from the Tau Ceti Coalition, as have we. One by one, representatives from 7 other recently admitted Federation species stood in solidarity. Each had secretly allied with humanity, tired of the restrictions and oversight imposed by the ancient founding civilizations. Anna turned back to the Supreme Counselors. We formed the Alliance of Emerging Worlds 5 years ago. Together, we control 22% of the Federation's essential resource production, maintain critical positions in supply chains affecting hundreds of worlds, and now have demonstrated the ability to temporarily halt faster-than-light travel throughout Federation space. She took a step closer to their elevated dais. We don't want to disrupt galactic civilization. We want to reform it, to create a true federation of equals, not a hierarchy of ancient powers and subservient newcomers. The Supreme Counselors conferred among themselves, their communication methods inscrutable to human observation. Finally, Vrax turned back to address the chamber. The Federation has existed for 50,000 years because it adapts when necessary, the ancient being stated, metallic plates shifting into a new configuration. Perhaps this is such a moment. The Council will recess for 3 days to consider these developments. As representatives began filing out of the chamber, reactions varied wildly. Some approached the human delegation with newfound respect or curiosity. Others kept their distance, clearly viewing Earth as a dangerous rogue element. General Santos moved closer to Anna. They'll be searching for the displacement devices, he said quietly. They won't find them, Dr. Nazari replied with confidence. The quantum phase technology makes them essentially undetectable until activated. Anna watched as the Supreme Counselors departed, their ancient forms moving with dignity, despite the unprecedented challenge to their authority. This isn't over, she cautioned her team. The Federation didn't maintain control for 50,000 years by yielding power easily. No, agreed Security Chief Ortega. But for the first time in its history, it faces a coalition that can actually force change. Not through violence, but through leverage they never saw coming. As they left the council hall, Anna looked up through the transparent dome at the stars beyond. For millennia, those stars had been dominated by a single power structure. Now humanity had shaken that structure to its foundations, not with weapons of destruction, but with the power to simply pause, to make space for a new conversation between equals. The peace negotiations had collapsed, but from their ruins something more authentic might yet emerge. The galaxy was holding its breath, waiting to see what would happen next. The massive council chamber of the Galactic Conclave fell silent as Ambassador Michael Reeves approached the central podium. Above, the vast dome revealed the spectacular binary stars that served as the backdrop for the most powerful governmental body in the known universe. 5,000 representatives from across the galaxy watched from tiered seating that spiraled upward for hundreds of meters. Michael's footsteps echoed in the perfect acoustics of the chamber. His heart raced, but his face remained composed. Behind him stood his team. Admiral Sophia Drake, her uniform bearing the marks of recent combat. Dr. Raj Patel, whose groundbreaking work in quantum mechanics had made this moment possible. And Major Lisa Chen, head of security, her eyes constantly scanning for threats. At the apex of the chamber sat the 9 high counselors, ancient beings who had ruled galactic affairs for millennia. Their physical forms varied dramatically, some crystalline, others gaseous, one appearing as a shifting pattern of light, but their collective authority was absolute. High Counselor Zeloth, a massive entity with iridescent scales and multiple limbs that moved with unsettling grace, leaned forward. Ambassador Reeves, the Council's patience has reached its limit. For 3 standard cycles, Earth has delayed accepting our final terms. Today, you will provide humanity's answer. Michael stood tall, feeling the weight of billions of human lives resting on his shoulders. High Counselors, honored representatives, I bring Earth's response to your ultimatum. He paused, looking around the chamber at the representatives of thousands of civilizations. Some were allies who had traded with humanity. Others were indifferent to Earth's fate. Many actively supported the Council's efforts to bring the upstart human civilization to heel. Humanity has carefully considered the Council's demand that we dismantle our independent defense systems, place our colonies under direct Council supervision, and accept restricted development status. Our answer is no. The chamber erupted. Thousands of voices in hundreds of languages created a storm of sound. The High Counselors exchanged glances, their alien features impossible for humans to read, but their displeasure evident nonetheless. Counselor Vrex, a being composed of swirling energy contained in a hovering exoskeleton, moved forward. Perhaps you misunderstand your position, Ambassador. This is not a negotiation. The Council has decided. Earth will comply or face immediate sanction. Admiral Drake stepped forward. With respect, Counselor, Earth understands its position perfectly. For 50 years, humanity has respected Council protocols, contributed to galactic scientific advancement, and attempted to integrate into the interstellar community as equals. And for 50 years, Dr. Patel continued, the Council has systematically restricted our development, harvested our innovations without proper attribution, and treated humans as second-class citizens in a community that claims to value diversity. Zeloth's scales shifted color in what Michael recognized as irritation. The Council has protected Earth, guided your development, and prevented your young species from making catastrophic mistakes. Your gratitude is lacking. Is it protection when it comes with total control? Michael asked. Is it guidance when it serves primarily to maintain the existing power structure? Earth has studied the histories of 100 worlds that accepted similar terms. None have ever advanced beyond restricted status. None have ever gained true self-determination. Counselor Zerath, a crystalline entity whose faceted body reflected light in hypnotic patterns, joined the exchange. You speak of self-determination, yet your species has existed among the stars for merely half a century. The founding civilizations of this council have guided galactic affairs for 20,000 years. Perhaps that's the problem, Michael suggested. Perhaps after 20,000 years the council has forgotten what it means to welcome new perspectives rather than simply absorbing them. Major Chen activated a small device, and a holographic display materialized above the central podium. It showed a map of known space with hundreds of points of light pulsing in synchronization. What is this? Demanded Zeloth, rising to an imposing height. This is the Nexus Network, Michael explained calmly. For the past 15 years, while seemingly complying with council restrictions, humanity has been placing quantum communication nodes throughout galactic space. Dr. Patel stepped forward. Each node creates a stable quantum entanglement field that allows instantaneous communication across any distance, without relying on the council's controlled relay system. Gasps echoed throughout the chamber. The council's monopoly on faster-than-light communication had been one of its most powerful tools of control for millennia. This is impossible, declared Counselor Vrex, energy form pulsating rapidly. Such technology is beyond your capability. You've consistently underestimated us, Admiral Drake replied. While your observers monitored our official research programs, other teams worked on technologies we knew would be restricted or appropriated. Michael raised his hand, and the display changed to show hundreds of worlds highlighted in green. As of 6 hours ago, 237 civilizations now have access to the Nexus Network. Most are younger species like ours, restricted and controlled by council protocols. The chamber erupted again, this time with representatives from those very civilizations standing in support. The High Counselors conferred urgently among themselves, their methods of communication inscrutable to human observers. Zeloth's voice cut through the chaos, scales now pulsing an angry red. This unauthorized network will be dismantled immediately. Earth will surrender control protocols and face sanction for this violation. That won't be possible, Michael replied. The network is decentralized by design. No single world controls it. It belongs to all participating civilizations equally. From the mid-levels of the chamber, the representative from Proxima Centauri stood. The Proxima Confederation supports the Nexus Initiative and refuses any attempt to dismantle it. Another representative rose, this one from the Tau Ceti systems. The Tau Coalition stands with Earth and Proxima. One by one, representatives from dozens, then hundreds of worlds rose in solidarity. Many had been silent partners in humanity's plan, working in secret to break the Council's communication monopoly. Michael turned back to the High Counselors. For 20,000 years, the Council has controlled who speaks to whom, what information flows where, and which innovations are permitted to spread. Today, that monopoly ends. You cannot possibly believe this rebellion will succeed. Counselor Zareth's crystalline form dimmed noticeably. The Council commands the largest military force in galactic history. We're not starting a war, Michael clarified. We're creating an alternative. The Free Communications Accord already includes nearly 40% of known worlds. No weapons, no aggression, just the free exchange of ideas without Council oversight. Major Chen activated a secondary display showing economic projections. Within 5 standard years, direct trade between Accord worlds, bypassing Council taxation and regulation, will create unprecedented economic growth and technological advancement. Dr. Patel added, and unlike the Council's approach of hoarding advanced technology for the founding worlds, the Accord is committed to sharing innovations that benefit all participating civilizations. The High Counselors conferred again, this time more urgently. The chamber had grown quieter as the implications became clear. This wasn't a military challenge to Council authority, but something potentially more disruptive, an entirely new system operating alongside the old one, offering genuine equality rather than hierarchical control. Finally, Zeloth spoke, scales now shifted to a more muted hue. The Council has governed galactic affairs since before your species mastered fire, Ambassador Reeves. We have weathered challenges before. Not like this, Michael replied. Previous challenges came from within the system. Power struggles between founding worlds, territorial disputes, resource conflicts. The Accord represents something entirely new, a parallel structure based on different principles. He looked around the chamber, meeting the gazes of hundreds of representatives. We didn't come here to threaten the Council's existence, but to announce the birth of an alternative. Worlds that wish to remain under Council governance may do so. Those that choose to join the Accord are welcome. High Counselor Vrex's energy form contracted to its densest state, a sign of intense concentration or concern. You propose to fragment a unified galactic civilization that has maintained peace for millennia. Was it truly unified? Michael asked. Or was it dominated by the few at the expense of the many? Was it truly peaceful? Or was conflict simply suppressed through control of communication and resources? From the highest tier of the chamber, an ancient representative from one of the oldest non-founding civilizations slowly rose. The being's voice, rarely heard in Council deliberations, resonated with the wisdom of thousands of years. Perhaps, the Ancient One said, after 20,000 years, it is time for the Council to listen rather than simply dictate. I have observed humanity since their first steps beyond their solar system. They are impulsive and sometimes reckless, but they possess something many of us have lost, the ability to imagine alternatives to what exists. The chamber fell silent in respect for the elder being's rare intervention.